Hi, gorgeous. Are you ready to go on a food adventure? This food adventure today takes place in the lovely island of Curaçao, and we are going to learn how we turn faith into action. Let's start with what we believe about faith, what faith may seem like versus what it actually is. Faith means, by the way, my name is Kira. Faith means the Bible describes faith as the substance that is not seen, that essentially brings things into fruition. That's not quoted, but just paraphrasing some of the verses that I read frequently. And some people think that faith just means hope. Hope, right? We're just hoping, but that doesn't actually do anything. Faith without works is dead. You need the faith, but faith really means the action as well. And another couple things the Bible mentions, right, is that faith without works is like the body without the spirit. It's empty. There's nothing to it. And there was one part that I read, it made me laugh because it was basically saying, if you see your brother or sisters starving and cold and you basically wish upon them that they get some food and they get warmth, what good is that to them? It's like, hey, my brother and my sister, I hope that you get some food and some blankets. But bringing the food and the blanket is actually what matters when you bring that to your brother and sister. So let's go on this food adventure. Okay? And we're going to talk through how to actually put your faith in action and what that truly looks like. So let's take it back to a few months ago when I was in Curacao, and this is my second day. So I'm in my Airbnb and I definitely need groceries because I like to cook and I needed to get some food to cook and I wanted some fresh fruits and vegetables. A little note about Curacao is that it is a desert. So because it is a desert, it is sometimes hard to get and grow certain produce. So a lot of the produce in the markets is actually shipped over, and there's a huge floating market which we will talk about later that people from Venezuela come over in boats to sell because Venezuela is really close, and they just take their boat, come to the island, sell their goods, and then go back. So let's start. I'm in my Airbnb and I am hungry. I'm looking for a grocery store that's going to have all the things that I need. And I found one, and it's in a mall called Sambil. Sambil was basically across the island from where I was, and I needed to get there. I found out about this Uber Lyft situation that they had called Click. Now, Click is sometimes reliable, but sometimes not. So it was very imperative that I learned other means of transportation. So there's a bus system in Curacao, which is a pretty good bus system. And I called my clique to go to Sambil, to the supermarket that's in Sambil in the mall. I actually forgot the name of the supermarket. But I get into my clique, and it's this amazing woman who is telling me all about everything on the island that I need to know. I'm asking her, hey, do you know how I get there? Do you know anything about the buses? When I asked her about the buses, she was saying that she didn't take the buses in a while, but she will give me the directions. So the first step to turning your faith into action is getting the directions. Now, where do you get the directions from? Those are from your intuition, which is basically God's voice inside of you telling you what to do, where to go, how to be confident in the direction that you go. So when you get those gut feelings, when you get that strong pull towards something, those are directions telling you to go somewhere, pulling you towards something. So this lady is representing my intuition, and intuition in any situation where you would need faith. So the first thing you get is your intuition. So this lady is telling me, so the buses are going to be $3, $4, $2.70. She was giving me all these different amounts. And in Curacao, they use different types of currency. They use US dollars. They use, what is it called? They use euros sometimes. They also use guilder. Guilder is the main thing that they use. And she's telling me all these prices in guilder, but mind you, they will accept the US dollar as well. And it's going to be a different price though. So I'm taking this information in, and as we're driving to the supermarket, driving to Sambil, this lady is pointing me, showing me the different bus stops outside the window. She's like, that's what the bus stop looks like. It looks like that. That's what the bus stop looks like. It looks like that. And basically, the way that the bus system works, there is 2 main ports. One in Otrobanda and one in Punda. And these bus stations have buses that go to separate halves of the island. So let's say this is the bus station in Otrobanda, and over here is the bus station in Punda. So one's to the left and one's to the right. The one to the left, the bus station in Otrobanda, goes from Otrobanda to the left side of the island and back. You cannot take buses from this side of the island to the other side. No, you have to cross the bridge, get to the other bus station, and then, which is in Punda, and then take the buses to the right side. So she's giving me all this information and telling me basically you have to be on the right side of the road to go to where you want to go, or else you're going to go further from the bus port. And she's telling me you have to cross the bridge. She's giving me exact directions. So here's the directions that she gave me. We were getting close to the supermarket, and once we got to the mall where the supermarket is, she showed me the closest bus station. She said, when you get out, you're going to go to this bus station here. Stay on this side. You're going to wait for the bus. Once you get on the bus, ride it all the way to the last stop. You know it's the last stop because everybody gets off the bus. And it is a port where it's a bus port where there's going to be multiple buses, and it's going to be a large space. It's not just a bus stop. You get off the bus, you walk across, keep walking until you get to Queen Emma's Bridge. Queen Emma's Bridge is a famous bridge on the island, and it's so cool. It's kind of scary because it moves and stuff, but it's basically how you get from one part of the island to the other part. So she's telling me, cross the bridge. Once you cross the bridge, just keep walking. She said, once you cross the bridge, take a left and keep walking. Keep walking, keep walking. You're going to see the floating market. The floating market is the market that I was just talking about earlier, where people come from Venezuela and sell different fruits, vegetables, food items. I don't know if it's just Venezuela or not, but she said you're going to pass the floating market and then you're going to keep walking. Once you keep walking, you'll see the bus port, the other bus port in Punda. So I'm going from the bus port in Otrobanda to the bus port in Punda. And then she's telling me, once you get to the bus port in Punda, you are going to take either a big bus or a small bus. They have 2 types of buses in Curaçao. There's the big bus, there's the small bus. The big buses are similar to any city bus that you may think about. So I'm from New York City. It's big like that. It's not as big as those city buses, but that's kind of the idea. Then the small buses are essentially vans that will take you more closely to your destination. And in fact, they might even drop you directly in front of where you're going, where you live, or your destination. The big buses, they have specific stops that they stop at. And it's not usual that they will take you all the way to where you need to go, because at that point you're getting off the main road and the bus is kind of big to be going down certain streets. But she's telling me this, and she's saying that the smaller buses are going to cost more, but take the smaller bus because you can give the driver this piece of paper, and on the piece of paper I told her the address of the Airbnb I was staying at, and she wrote it down for me on the piece of paper and gave it back to me to give to the bus driver of the smaller bus to take me directly home. Okay? So this is my intuition. This is your intuition guiding you. Guiding you. When you get a hit of intuition, it is like you can almost feel the end result. You feel what's going to happen. Intuition is a feeling. And so your feeling is there before you actually get there. And this lady is telling me all the directions. She knows the destination. She knows exactly what it's going to look like. Your intuition knows exactly what things are going to look like. Now, this lady spoke to me in words which I could understand. But sometimes, well, not sometimes, your intuition doesn't speak. It's just a feeling, right? So you're not going to be getting the exact words. And mind you, when this lady was telling me all of this, it is just being absorbed into my brain. So I'm just having to go off a memory of what she told me. This trip to Curaçao really gave me some really good survival skills, and this is one of them: listening to directions. Okay, and this is how you're following that intuition. So this little paper with the address was a tool for my journey, and it was a physical reminder of my destination, right? So a physical reminder of my destination I had with me. I kept it. She dropped me off in front of the mall, in front of the supermarket, and let's go to part 2. Okay. Part 2 is faith. All right. So at this point, I'm on my own, right? My intuition, she's gone. She told me all that she needed to tell me, right? So I'm in the supermarket. I see the supermarket, and I knew that before I headed in to get all my groceries, I actually wanted to explore the mall. So I just walk around the mall, see what's available, see what type of stores they have, and just really exploring the island, having my fun. Then I get to the supermarket. I basically went in a circle around and went back to the supermarket. And when I got in, I was shopping for all the things that I wanted. I had my grocery list for how many days I was staying in that specific Airbnb and what I would need to cook, make food. And so I'm just shopping around, looking for things. And I realized that their produce was imported. A lot of things were imported. And a lot of other things that were packaged, they had some American stuff, and they had a lot of Dutch stuff. So from the Netherlands that was shipped in. So a lot of things were in Dutch. Some seasonings and things were in Dutch. And the great thing about Curaçao is that mostly everybody speaks English. I believe they learn it in school, but they speak about 4 languages. So you will hear them switching back and forth a lot, which I think is so cool and honestly really powerful. So I'm looking, and I saw I saw Jenni's ice cream. If you know what Jenni's ice cream is, then you will know how excited I was to see this on an island. Jenni's is an ice cream shop they have in DC, and they have in other places too. I seen one in Atlanta, but they'll have pints of specific ice cream flavors in supermarkets and places for you to buy. And the fact that I saw it all the way in Curaçao was just crazy. And it felt so nice to see it because it felt like a little slice of home. And, I was all alone just figuring things out. So seeing Jenni's really brought me back. Like, and you'll get things on your journey of faith that will just bring some energy back into you, because sometimes the road gets rocky, right? When you're on this journey of faith, things seem like, am I ever going to reach that destination? Am I ever going to get there? Things aren't going exactly how I envisioned it, but I know that this is where I'm supposed to go. This is where I'm supposed to be. And that Jenni's was just a reminder, like, hey girl, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And so I get all my groceries. I have some frozen items. So I'm thinking, these things ain't gonna last because it's just, it's hot. Okay, it's so hot. And I wasn't taking a Click or that Uber Lyft service back. I was taking the bus. Okay, so now I leave the supermarket. I walk to the bus station where the lady showed me. I sit down, and now it's just a waiting game. When you are on an island, you are on island time. The bus says it's going to be there at a certain time. It might not be there at a certain time unless you are at the bus port. If you are at any bus stop, just practice your patience. You will have to practice your patience because you won't know when the bus is coming, if it's going to show up. There could be 20, 30, 40 minutes or more that you're waiting. Also, sometimes you'll have to wave your hand out to actually get the bus to come to you, especially with the smaller buses, because they will just keep going. So I'm waiting for the bus, and the bus that I'm waiting for, so I'm waiting for the bus, waiting and waiting. I sit down with my grocery bags, and next to me are two young schoolgirls. I believe they were coming home from school. They're chatting it up in Papiamentu or Dutch. I did not understand a thing they were saying, but they were cracking jokes. And it's so beautiful being on an island because I could be from there, right? The majority of the people there who are natives, they look like me. They're black. And so they didn't know that I didn't speak their language. I was just a woman sitting next to them who went to Sambil, who went to the grocery store in Sambil. And we're all just waiting for the bus. And it was just cool sitting there, sharing that collective experience of waiting for the bus. But then these girls get up and walk to the other side of the street. So I see them walking across the street, and I'm like, what are they doing? They disappear. I think they might have went to the store or something. Right? I'm like, okay. But then they come back, and they're waiting on the other side of the street, and that's where there's another bus stop. That's going to go in the opposite direction. And over there are those girls and a couple other people. But over here on my side, there's nobody there. And so I'm thinking to myself, am I on the wrong side? Did these girls move because they know something I don't? I was just really rationalizing this in my head. Like, I'm new here. It's only my second day out here. Am I doing the right thing by sitting here? And this is where faith really comes in. And a big part of faith is trusting your intuition and actually acting out in agreement with what your intuition has told you. Those directions, those things that God has put inside of you. I knew that I was supposed to be on that side. Okay, and I knew that if I crossed, even though it might have looked like the right thing to do because other people were doing it and other people were over there, I'm not other people. I have to stick to what I'm doing. So when you're on your journey of turning faith into action, you have to stick to what it is that you're doing. Sure, absolutely sure, knowing that is going to work out for you, even if it seems like it's not. Even if it seems like, oh, I'm completely alone over here in this. I don't know if this is the right thing. Okay, you don't know, but you will know. You're going to find out that it's the right thing as long as you're listening and sticking to your stuff, standing on business. Right, so I'm sitting there, whew, and my trust pays off. That faith pays off because the bus comes. The bus comes, but the journey is not even over. We're literally in the first step of the journey, which is catching the bus to one side, to the first bus port. So I get on the bus, and when I was first taking the bus, I gave larger amounts of money because I didn't know exactly how much the bus costs, and I didn't really want to ask. I was being a little shy. Sometimes I would ask, but with this big bus and this being my first time taking the bus, I was like, okay, let me just give a bigger amount and see how much they give back to know how much it costs so that next time I know. This bus was $2.70, 2 guilder and 70 cents. And I'm just sitting on the bus and it is beautiful. We're just driving straight down the road. Outside the window, it's beautiful. People have the window open because it's just hot, right? And out the window, you have a little breeze coming in, and you're just seeing all the beautiful colors, all the beautiful people, the beautiful shops and stores around. It was truly I just keep using the word beautiful because that was the experience. It felt like a breath of fresh air. I had my bags, my grocery bags, and it was just amazing. So it's important to enjoy the journey. And this next part is really about enjoying the journey. Okay? And we're still in faith. We're still in our part 2. Part 1 was intuition. Part 2 is our faith. So we have our trust and we have enjoying the journey. And I'm enjoying the journey on this bus. All right? So we get to the first bus port in Otra Banda. Cool. Everybody gets off the bus. I'm walking, and I'm actually very familiar with this place because when I had went on vacation months prior, I was in this area. So I'm like, okay, girl, I know how to get to this bridge. I know exactly where I am. This is my city. At this point, that's what I was feeling. This is my city. All right. I am in the heart of Curaçao, and this is my city. And so I'm walking, enjoying it, feeling like a local with my grocery bags. I was thinking, dang, are people thinking like, did she go all the way to San Bill to get groceries when there's a bunch of grocery stores around here? I know they know about grocery stores, but they didn't know that I didn't know. So that's what I was thinking they were thinking about me. And this is just a reminder that a lot of the time people aren't actually thinking about you. It's just you thinking about you and putting your own thoughts into people's heads. And that's what's tripping you out. So after I got over that little bit, I was like, I'm enjoying this walk. This is beautiful. I'm sweating bullets. I'm sweating. And I'm just walking, and I get to the bridge. And your girl is thirsty. I am thirsty. The thirst is killing me. I'm parched. I'm sweating. It's hot. I feel crazy. So I had looked up a smoothie place. You know me. I don't know if I did it on the bus or on my walk to the bridge, but I looked up a smoothie place, and there was a smoothie place called La Boheme. So once I got to the bridge, I remembered her directions. Once you cross the bridge, take a left. So I knew that if I go to La Boheme after I cross the bridge, I have to come back to the bridge and make a left to go where I needed to go. So I'm like, all right, I got this. Boom. I walk to La Boheme, and I am in Punda, Now I'm from Ocho Banda to Punta, and I'm just walking through the streets and I'm seeing all this beauty. I'm seeing all the colors, all the shops, all the people are happy, talking to each other, and it's diverse, it's beautiful. And I'm just walking down the streets in the town. It felt a little bit European almost, um, but on an island. They were colonized by the Netherlands, so that's why they speak Dutch and all that, and that definitely has a role in the architecture and things. But the people is what makes the island. So I get to La Boheme, I order my smoothie. At this point, I don't care about my frozen items. They're done. They're done. Okay, they're done. And this is a symbol of how your worries will melt away. I was worried about my food melting, but I'm having such a great time enjoying the journey that those worries melting away melted away. You know what I'm saying? So that's what that symbolized for me. I knew that when I got back to the Airbnb, I could just put it in the freezer and it'd be fine. So once you leave your worries alone and actually enjoy the experience, there are going to be solutions that come to you to fix whatever it is that you're worried about, anyways. Jesus tells us not to worry so many times. Don't waste your time worrying. Okay? That is just whack. Enjoy the journey. So here we are. I'm getting my smoothie and I'm just sitting down outside La Boheme, drinking my smoothie, and it cools me off and gives me the power up that I needed to finish this journey. All right, that was a power up right there because I was so thirsty. I felt like I have to sit down. Adjusting to that weather was a real thing that my body had to go through. And so I drink my smoothie, throw it out, grab my grocery bags, and we're walking back to the bridge. I walked back to the bridge and I'm like, all right, from here, I got to make a left. So, boom, make that left. And I keep walking. I keep walking. I keep walking, enjoying it. And at this point, this part of Punda is kind of quiet. It was like really calm, really quiet. And I'm just walking through. There's a bunch of stores and it's giving more city, like inner city, urban type of feel now. And I'm like, all right, okay, this is my vibe. I'm from New York, so, you know. And so, okay, I keep walking past the floating market. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Okay, I passed the floating market. And then I get to a point where I feel like I don't know if I'm going the right way. And this is now part three. Part three is the realization. And realization is just when you actually get to your destination. When the faith comes through, everything that you desired, all that is here. So now we're in part three, right? But before I got to realization, I reached a point where I wasn't sure if I was going the right way. So I kind of stopped and I didn't keep going because I wanted to make sure. And during these times when you are turning your faith into action, you will likely have points where you just don't know. It's like the journey's been so long and I don't know if I keep going, will I reach what I actually thought? Because for me in this situation, me getting back home, I'm I don't see the bus stop yet. So I passed the floating market and I'm like, okay, the bus stop is supposed to be kind of over here, but I don't see it yet. But I just had a little bit further to go. But what I did was I asked somebody. I said, "Excuse me, do you know?" I always had to say like I speak English because they would speak to me in Papiamentu, and I'm like, nah, I know I look it, but I'm not from here. And so I asked her, "Where's the bus stop?" Like the bus station. And she told me it's just there around the corner, right? I'm like, oh, okay. So during these times when you feel a little lost, check back in with your intuition. The women in this story who are giving me directions, they're my intuition. That's the parallel. And so I checked back in with my intuition just to make sure. And there's so many ways you can do this. Turn off the noise, meditate, journal, ask yourself a question, journal about it, pray, really think if this is the right thing that you want to do, if this all goes right, is this still what I want? Check in with yourself, with your intuition, and listen to what God's voice says to you, what you hear. So the lady basically says, keep going. My intuition is like, keep going. Okay. So I keep going and I make it to the bus stop. It's a bus stop, it's huge. And this bus port here in Punda, that was my spot. That's where I was going to. Like, once I learned this bus system, I was out. I was everywhere. Now, if you're in Curaçao, I do recommend you getting a car, but that just wasn't in the cards for me. So I was on the bus everywhere. I was getting familiar with the bus drivers, and I was knowing their prices. I was knowing how to get here and there, and it was cool. So back to me getting to the bus stop. Finally, I get to the bus stop. I see the people waiting, and I see it. And she told me, now here's how the buses are. You got the big buses, there's a sign on the bus, on the wall at the bus port telling you the times they come, days of the week they come, and the number or letter bus. I can't remember if it was numbers or letters or both, but where that bus goes, the destination. Now, the smaller buses, that was for the big buses, the smaller buses, they're vans, and on the window, they have a white piece of paper with different destinations listed. So they'll have, like, one beach is called Marie Pampoen, another beach is called Mambo. So those are all in the same direction. So the bus that's gonna go there is gonna say Marie Pampoen, Mambo. I needed the bus that had the white piece of paper on it that said Bonam, because that's where my Airbnb was. So I was looking out for that bus that said Bonam, and I got on that bus. Okay. Another note about these buses, the ones that go to Marie Pampoen and Mambo, if it's a certain time of day, you better be the first person there, because people rush to those buses and you will be left behind and have to wait for another bus because they fill up at 9 or 12 people or something like that. So I saw the bus that said Bonam, got my butt on the bus, right? And I had on my phone the maps, the address, so I could see that we were getting closer as we were driving. And I would hear people on the bus speaking in Papiamentu to the bus driver, saying, "Here, you could stop for me here," or "I'm going here." It wasn't English, but that's what I was picking up on. It's like, "I'm going here," and he would remember where they said, and then they would get out when he arrived. Or if they were passing their specific stop, they would tell the bus driver, "Here's good," and then get out. So I knew that if I told him where I was going, he would drop me off, like the lady had mentioned they would do. So I basically waited till everyone got off the bus, because my Airbnb was deep in Bonam. So I waited, and then I showed, he might have asked me something, and I told him I speak English, and I showed him the piece of paper. And it's basically, it was just so cool, like cashing in my faith, basically. Like, I made it this far, and here we are. Here's my destination. I did all this to go here. And so I gave it to the bus driver. He dropped me off right there at the Airbnb. I took my grocery bags, went inside, unpacked, and everything was realized. My faith had turned into action. I had followed the intuition, went through everything that comes with having faith, and then everything was realized. Right? So let's go over definitions again. Your intuition is God's voice inside of you telling you which direction to go. Your faith is actionable steps while remembering God's voice as your guide. So faith is not just the hope or the desire. Faith is the actionable steps. Remember, faith without works is dead. So there's no faith without the works as a part of it. Faith without works is like the body without spirit. It's dead. It's nothing there. So in order to actually have faith, it's not just having hope. It's not just having a desire. Faith is the action with the intuition. It's following God's voice and taking those steps to get to where you need to go. And then realization is when God's voice and your steps get you to your destination. Your intuition plus your faith equals your realization. So that is how you turn faith into action. My food adventure in Curaçao, grabbing those groceries, learning so much about the culture in one single day, learning about life skills in one single day, the whole bus system in one single day. This journey of just getting groceries taught me so much, and it taught me about having faith and how to trust myself, believe in myself as a guide, and really just believe in God's words that are inside of me. So I hope you enjoyed this food adventure, and I will see you next time.